Okay, friends, welcome back as we continue to work through the specific sections of Romans now with a little bit of detail, reading key scriptures and just following the main turning points of these chapters as we see how Paul lays out his story, teaches his doctrine, and does it all in a way to meet the needs of the Roman church, to accomplish the purposes, the goals for which the letter was written that we've sketched out in our previous episodes. And we've already looked at Romans 1 through 4, and so now we're going to look at Romans 5 through 8. For years, I've enjoyed J.R.R. Tolkien's masterpiece, The Lord of the Rings. I'm reading Two Towers again right now, and I've lost track. This might be number 4 or 5 amount of times I've read through them. Just love them. When I first learned about them, I wasn't interested at all, and took me a long time to really get going. But now that I've read them, I love them. And in the third and final book of the trilogy, The Return of the King, the high point of, or one of the high points in the first section there, is this epic battle between men and orcs outside the gates of Gondor. And this battle really constitutes the evil Lord Sauron's biggest push to destroy the forces of humanity and fill the world with darkness. And just in case you've never finished them before, or if a younger listener is listening or watching, spoiler alert, so you got to plug your ears for 2 minutes. I once spoiled the end of one of the Chronicles of Narnia stories for my daughter in a sermon illustration. She loves to still give me grief over it. So I won't spoil anything for anybody. It's just warning there. But this battle is where Sauron is just he is just sending all his forces to destroy the men of Gondor. And so that battle becomes the moment when Aragorn, the rightful but so far hidden king of Gondor, finally reveals himself as the heir of the throne and leads the charge that defeats Sauron's forces. And so hence the book's title, The Return of the King. Now what's interesting though about Aragorn's return to the throne is that it is not obtained merely by him being victorious in battle. In fact, after this battle, he goes back outside the city and camps outside of the city and conceals himself once again. So you see there's another activity that he performs that identifies him as the true king. As the battle in the field winds down, Aragorn enters a place called the Houses of Healing. And he goes throughout this place healing his friends who were wounded in the battle, some almost to the point of death. And right before Aragorn appears to perform this healing work, a wise woman, Yoreth, laments, "Would that there were kings in Gondor, as there were once upon a time," they say. "For it is said in old lore, the hands of a king are the hands of a healer. And so the rightful king could ever be known." How is the king primarily known? Not by his victory on the field of battle, though that's essential, but by the healing he brings to others. A good king is a healing king. And I know Tolkien's not in the Bible, but he was working from a Christian framework. And if nothing else, that idea from Lord of the Rings resonates with the third section of Romans that we are studying, Romans chapter 5 through 8, second section of Romans, chapters 5 through 8. You see, in this section of Romans, Paul tells a story of Christians on a journey. They are journeying from their life now to the life to come. And the life to come involves healing in new life. That's what they're headed towards. Life now involves suffering and groaning. But as Christians journey from one life to the next, and as they live in the overlap of the old creation and the new, they experience healing in the gospel, and in turn work to heal the world in which they live. And I know that may not be the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of this section of Romans, especially if you've studied it before. But I think I can show that that is what Paul is arguing in our episode today. And in order to do so, before we lead right into it, keep in mind what we've already said about the human vocation in Genesis 1 and 2. God created humans to fill the world with God's presence, to represent God to others by their words, deeds, and character. Sin disrupted that vocation. But what Romans 5 to 8 shows us is that because of the gospel, Christians are new creations who can fulfill God's purpose for humanity and use their lives to bring healing to God's world. So let's overview Romans 5 through 8, which teach us that the saving God creates a new humanity that heals God's world.